welcome to Pale Blue Pod, the astronomy podcast for people who are overwhelmed by the universe but still want to be its friend.
It's true. And I'm Corinne Caputo, a writer and a fun person and a friend to the universe.
Yeah, you are. And you know how I can tell? Because your hair looks great today, Corinne.
Okay, Moiya, I was just thinking that, and you know what it is? There is so much dry shampoo in the roots of my hair right now that it's like holding this perfect form.
You have like the perfect, I don't know, like 70s swoosh at the top.
It's really wild.
Gorgeous.
And you can't quite see, but like it's very grayish at the roots because of the shampoo is like white powder and I have like really dark hair. So, oh, okay.
Yay.
Wow.
So you're a friend to the universe.
Uh-huh.
And so am I. Hi, I'm Dr. Moiya McTier. I'm an astrophysicist and a folklorist, and my hair looks fine today.
Your hair looks great. We're both doing it.
You're right. Yeah, yesterday was wash day, so the curls are popping, if I do say so myself. Mm-hmm. But Corinne and I are here, hair fantastic.
I know, I'm doing anything to avoid wash day, just like stuffing it with powder.
I had formed like 2 dreads in the back of my head, so I was like, it's time. I gotta detangle this.
Let's do something.
But we're here looking fantastic in a field.
Yes.
Because, nothing's going to stop us from looking our best when we want to. And we are here in a field full of cows in rural New Hampshire. They are smelly, but beautiful.
Beautiful.
I love cows.
I saw a really funny tweet recently that someone was like, I wonder if those cows in the field know that girls driving by are their biggest fans.
Yes! Oh, I haven't seen that tweet, but I love it because I do. Every single time I drive by, cows!
It's always like cows, cows, cows.
Like, so excitedly. Yep. And I'm from the country, folks. Like, I'm from a place, I like to say it had more cows than cars. That's why I had to learn to cross the street when I got to college. but I love cows. Their eyelashes are so long. They have best friends. They form best friendships.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. So we are doing this episode among the cows today. And they will get to hear us, and you will get to hear us talk about UFO sightings, which is an interesting topic for us.
Yeah. We've talked about like reaching out to aliens, but not about those who claim to see them.
Right. And I think it was in our AMA episode where we mentioned the different like hearings and Congress appearances and like all of the ways that the sightings of UFOs or UAPs have been in the news lately. So we wanted to do an episode where we're like, has the government found aliens?
Yeah. There's a lot of TikToks and stuff online that are like, remember when aliens were declared real by the government and we all just moved on with our day? And I'm always like, I'm like, I didn't do the work to like actually know to look into that, but I feel like you're wrong.
Right. I have also seen those. I've seen people lamenting like, oh, the world is in such disarray that the government announced there were aliens and no one's doing anything about it. And, people would be doing something about it if they had actually declared that there were aliens. So we'll get into it. I watched the whole 2+ hour hearing on C-SPAN or like on C-SPAN's YouTube channel. So I saw what they said in the testimony. I also heard all the things that they weren't allowed to say publicly. So yeah, let's get into it.
I can't wait.
Starting off, Corinne, have you ever had a UFO experience?
Once I left a movie theater as a teenager, and I swear to God I saw a flying car, but I think it was a plane with 2 lights that looked like headlights that was flying quite low, and it was late at night. And you know when you leave a movie and it's late and you're like, I'm excited to go home.
Yeah, you're totally disoriented because you've just come from another world.
Yes, exactly. I must have left I probably was leaving like, I don't know, some fantasy movie. But yeah, that's
maybe you were leaving Harry Potter with that flying car.
That really could have been it. And my like very basic imagination could only imagine something I just saw.
That's a theme in UFO sightings. I think we'll get to that.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, and I didn't really think that's what it was. Very quickly, I was like, I'm tired. I need to put myself to bed.
This was on Staten Island?
Yes, this was at the, like, more expensive movie theater with better seats than the one that was close to my house.
Ooh.
It's like the further away one. And I have never seen an alien since, and I don't want to.
Cool. I have had a UFO experience. When I think it was the summer before 4th grade, maybe, my family and I did a cross-country road trip. We were driving back from California to Pennsylvania, and we happened to be in New Mexico, and I didn't know about New Mexico's reputation, but we happened to be driving through the desert in New Mexico, and I saw this flashing light zoom across the sky way faster than I thought anything could possibly move. And little, like, I guess at that age, I was what, like 7-year-old me was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, that's a spacecraft.
Yeah.
Because I had heard of spacecraft, even though I didn't know about the Roswell, New Mexico alien thing.
Yeah.
But I've had the sighting before, and I grew up to be pretty skeptical but extremely hopeful because, unlike you, Corinne, I would love to meet an alien.
I mean, I am. My baseline is such from a fearful place. Like, I'm just afraid of things.
Fair. I guess I figure, like, that'd be a cool way to go.
That would be a cool way to go. What do you think that was?
I think it was just like a plane or maybe an early drone or something.
Yeah.
Corinne, I'm going to tell you, I went into researching very skeptical but very hopeful. I came out of it a little less skeptical.
Okay, so now this podcast is about, it's like us interviewing people with experiences and aliens.
A little less skeptical. And that slight difference hinges on the testimonies of 3 men. So, like, you know, I'm going to take their testimonies with a grain of salt until I get to see more evidence myself. But let's talk about the history of alien or UFO sightings before we get into what's been happening in the news more recently, because it has a pretty long history, Corinne. How far back do you think it goes?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like the 40s, maybe.
Yeah.
Was that right?
That's a good guess.
Okay.
Yeah, for like the latest craze.
Okay, yeah.
But
I'm thinking like after Great Depression. Like, yeah. But before the 70s.
Mm-hmm. Great instinct. So the type of like little green men, UFO flying saucer craze, that did start in the 40s. But there are some surviving written descriptions of people in the ancient world thinking that they saw cool things in the sky. So there are a handful of reports from Egypt, Rome, Ireland from like thousands of years ago, often as ships. So like ships that would go on the ocean. They thought that they would see those apparitions in the sky.
Wow.
But sometimes it was just like a burning light. But usually what united these sightings was that the thing moved in an unnatural way. And then there are also several reports, some of them from like whole towns at once around the world, that claim they have seen weird things floating in the sky, weird things coming down from the atmosphere, hanging out like 100 feet or whatever above the ground and then flying away.
That's
like there
freaky.
have been reports for centuries, and then going back thousands of years to the ancient world. But it did all kind of start more recently in the 1940s, specifically in June of 1947.
What happened then?
What happened then? Yes.
You know, I never thought about like there being a point in time when there's nothing in the sky but birds. Like,
yeah.
I'm always looking up and like, there goes a plane, there goes the satellite, or like, there goes whatever. That must have been really freaky if you thought you saw something in the sky that was not a bird.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the ones that were described as burning balls of light, they were probably like meteors or something. Right. There are also some like things do go floating in the sky. Like, you know, I don't think they had like balloons or
I was going to say,
plastic
when
bags,
did
but
balloons come out?
but things can go flapping in the sky. There can also be like weird atmospheric things, and the human eye isn't perfect. So there are plenty of other explanations. Definitely, I feel like we should get that out of the way. But lots of people claim to have seen these things. One of those people is a businessman, or was a businessman and pilot named Kenneth Arnold. And in June of 1947, he was flying, and he reported seeing 9 saucer-shaped discs. He described them as like the type of saucer that you could like skip over a lake. It looked like that. And he said that he saw 9 of them flying in formation in the sky outside of Mount Rainier in the state of Washington, here in the U.S. And so he talked about that to the media. And within 6 weeks, Gallup did a poll back in 1947. So within 6 weeks, 90% of Americans had heard the term flying saucer after he did that news report.
Whoa.
And then the next month, in Roswell, New Mexico, there were some Air Force personnel who were scouting or doing a training run or something, and they saw some debris in the desert, and they went to check it out, and it ended up being like a crashed balloon or something, but they put out a public release, a press release, saying that they had found the remains of a flying disc. And the fact that that was just like a month after the flying saucer, the public went wild. Eventually, the Air Force retracted their press release because they were like, we just don't want this smoke. We're just going to back away from the topic entirely. Nothing we say will convince the public that it's not aliens, because that's what they have in mind right now. And so going back to your, like, you had been maybe in Harry Potter and then you saw the flying car, people heard the term flying saucer, and then all of a sudden a bunch of people are seeing flying saucers. Yeah.
I'm so willing to believe this, though. Like, I'm someone who doesn't want to see it, doesn't want to be a part of it in any way because I'm afraid. But also, if you tell me that you see that, I'm like, you definitely saw that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, it is really hard to maintain that balance of skepticism, but optimism and like whimsy. It's a fine line to walk, but I think we manage. Yeah. So after 1947, when everyone is talking about aliens, and I think around this time, science fiction is also becoming more popular. Science fiction specifically with aliens in it. Not that it's new. We had been thinking about life on other worlds since antiquity, but definitely since the 1800s. And some science fiction reflected that, but it was getting bigger around this time. Like, you can see those two things kind of fueling each other. And in 1947, the government started the first of 3 subsequent projects to study these reported sightings. The first was called Project Sign, started in 1947, and then it transitioned into something called Project Grudge. And then that was switched over to something called Project Blue Book, which lasted the longest and is what most people have heard of if they're familiar with this history. So Project Blue Book went until 1969. So for 22 years, they were taking in reports of people seeing UFOs, which were unidentified flying objects. And those reports were like, they went to the government and they were assessed by the government to see if they were legitimate, if there were any other possible explanations. And over those 22 years, they documented 12,618 different UFO sightings.
Wow.
They have like 100,000 pages of documents. They are all publicly available. I did not comb through them all, but it's like an interesting collection if you want to look through it. Those 100,000 pages included one report from Betty and Barney Hill, who claimed that they were captured and examined by extraterrestrials in rural New Hampshire, which is where we are. So they might have been the first people to start the whole alien abduction and probing story that then spread and a bunch of people used. Thanks, Betty and Barney Hill.
That's such a duo name. Like,
I know. Like, it sounds like it shouldn't be real history.
No, not at all.
It was made up.
Okay, I just looked it up because I thought it was true. But Barney from the Flintstones, his wife is named Betty. Barney Rubble and Betty Rubble. When did the Flintstones... Flintstones was made by aliens, we're figuring out. We're connecting the dots.
Connecting the dots, we're following the trail.
That's why it's so accurate to the time. We weren't alive in the prehistoric there, but aliens were.
Aliens were. They saw it. It's a documentary,
Yeah.
The Flintstones. Yeah, so Betty and Barney Hill, not Rubble, they were included among the Project Blue Book sightings that were documented. And Project Blue Book ended in 1969 when some people from the University of Colorado Boulder put out this really long report. It was hundreds of pages long, and it's called the Condon Report. The Condon Report. Not condom, Condon Report. And it basically looked at all of these sightings to determine if they had merit and if studying them was contributing to scientific knowledge or if it was just like a waste of the government's resources. And the report determined that it was a waste of resources. So we just shouldn't be studying these UFO sightings anymore. This is 1969, which is the year that we literally sent human beings to the moon, after which, for some reason, the entire United States government decided it wasn't interested in space anymore. So they defunded NASA. They stopped this Project Blue Book. The United States government in 1970 was we don't know her. We don't want anything to do with her. But people didn't stop thinking about these aliens. People continued to have their own sightings. It continued to be a thing in the zeitgeist. And most of them were silly. But some of the more credible witnesses were from the military, so pilots, people who had good credentials, and we usually thought that they were pretty responsible and telling the truth. And so a lot of the sightings that have prompted us to continue this discussion around UFOs have come from the military and from some commercial pilots. But if you watch that hearing from this summer, I learned that there are fewer sightings from commercial pilots just because their detection systems on a commercial airplane aren't as good as the detection systems on a military aircraft, which makes total sense.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
Yeah. So there are a few things that happened between 1969 and now. Starting in 2007, the U.S. Pentagon established the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program that had backing from a Democratic Nevada senator, and at the time I think he was the House or the majority speaker or something. His name was Harry Reid. And the point of the program was to look into aerospace threats, which could be coming from outside of our atmosphere. The Pentagon claims that they shut down this program in 2012, but the head of it, who's some intelligence guy, he has admitted in interviews to continuing to work unofficially after it was shut down with maybe not explicit permission, but at least implicit permission from the FBI and the CIA. And when the New York Times broke news about this kind of shady Pentagon program looking for UFO threats in 2017, it just kind of threw a bunch of gasoline onto the fire of public interest in UFOs.
Yeah. I want a TV show about that secret unit.
I think there is a TV show about Project Blue Book, but I don't know if it goes all the way to this.
To the top.
Yeah, because that would be an interesting TV show to watch. Have you seen Inside Job?
No.
On Netflix?
Should I?
Oh, it's an animated show.
Oh, the animated show, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
It kind of reminds me of that.
But I have wanted to.
Yeah, it's funny. There are parts of it that I really enjoyed. So 2017, New York Times breaks this story and people get the first dose of, wait, the government has been seriously studying UFOs, but without telling us, In 2020, two scientists, Ravi Kaparapu, whose work I think I cited in my dissertation, and Jacob Hawk-Misra, both of them were NASA scientists. One was an astrobiologist and one was, I think, an astrophysicist. They together wrote an article in Scientific American saying that we really need to rethink this plan not to study UFO sightings. So going back on what the Condon Report had said in 1969. But by now, we weren't calling them UFOs. We were calling them UAPs, which at first stood for Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon. Mm-hmm. And now they are Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon.
I guess that includes more.
I think they just needed a rebrand from UFO. It's the same
it's time.
fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's there's a thing in the sky that we don't know what it is. It's not a UFO, it's a UAP now. But they did change it from aerial phenomenon to anomalous phenomenon because some of them can be in the water now.
What?
So they're broadening the scope. So after this 2020 Scientific American treatise or call to action, the Pentagon established yet another program called the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force to, and I quote, improve its understanding of and gain insight into the nature and origins of unidentified objects. In June of 2021, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, so the people who are in charge of knowing all the secret stuff in the United States government, they wrote a report categorizing these UAPs into 5 different types. They were airborne clutter, so just like junk in the atmosphere. Natural atmospheric phenomena, like there are weird lights, like the Northern Lights. There's lightning, like there are weird things that are natural but look weird. There's public and private aerospace developmental programs, so like these kind of secret to the public programs that are developing technology that could be perceived as alien just because people don't know about them. And then there's like foreign adversary systems, so the same thing but with foreign governments. And then there's a catch-all other bin. I assume something in there is like people's eyes having issues, like vision problems, but also probably in this catch-all bin are aliens.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like non-human technology, as they kept saying in the summer hearing. So that's a report that they did in June of 2021. They wrote a follow-up report in 2023, so just this year, that described 500 more sightings since 2021, most of them coming from military personnel. In 2022, the Pentagon, just like, they love starting a program. They love they love putting together a committee. In 2022, they established the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office to investigate objects that might pose a threat to national security, whether they're coming from the atmosphere, from the ocean. Like, if it's weird and we don't know what it is and it's coming from somewhere, we're going to study it, right?
Yeah, that feels so wide a net that they're either going to have, like, no work to do or, like, way too much.
I feel like that describes so much of the way our government operates.
Yeah, it's like, well, just send that to this group.
It's either too specific to be useful or it's too broad to be useful.
Yep.
So that's the Pentagon's 2022 effort. That same year, NASA also said that they would join the mission, the quest to study these UAP sightings, and that they would do it from a science angle and not from an intelligence angle. And so in 2022, that's when I started to see people making jokes that, like, the government has sneakily revealed the aliens are real. Is that around the same time you started seeing it, like, last year?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that I was also a kid who was always, like, if I got the chance to watch TV, I would want to, like, turn on, you know, the Discovery Channel, which at that point was just airing ghost hunting shows or, like, alien documentaries. So I think it definitely picked up in the culture, but it's like been a ribbon in my life of just like casually taking in that kind of info.
Ancient Aliens. That guy.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Ancient Aliens? Like, actually watch it?
I don't think so. I think I've watched more of the like weird TLC exploitative shows where they just like interview someone who had some traumatic experience and then they like do like some weird reenactment, and I was always like, this must have happened.
Everything on the internet and on TV is real, Corinne.
Especially if they've invested in a reenactment for it.
Oh yeah. The reenactment is often more realistic,
really sells it,
than the original event.
Yeah.
Hey friends, it's Moiya here. Corinne saw the absolute cutest cow and completely fell prey to her cuteness aggression, which for those of you who are not in the know, is that thing where you just want to squish or bite the very adorable things you see, and usually you can't act on it because you're dealing with fragile creatures who would die if you squish them as much as you wanted to. But the great thing, friends, about being around so many cows is that they are sturdy enough that you can just take out your cuteness aggression on them. So Corinne is over there hugging the absolute hell out of that cow, but it's totally fine. So while she's over there doing that, I figured I would be here taking this opportunity to thank our patrons who support the show financially every single month. Thank you all. We love and appreciate each and every single one of you. But I would like to give a special shout out, as always, to our sun-like stars, Sharn Llewellyn, Lissa, and Ian O'Leary. You have the perfect amount of gravitational attraction, and you emit the perfect amount of radiation for life like us. So thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying it out there. And, of course, a very enthusiastic and first-time thank you and welcome to our latest pre-main sequence star, Bella Stewart. Welcome to the club. You are in great company. You too can hear your name on the pod, you can support us, you can get your name on our patron star chart, all for just about $1 per episode. That patron star chart, by the way, is really starting to fill up, and it makes me feel really good about the work that we're doing over here at Pale Blue Pod. We're also offering annual subscriptions, so if you sign up on Patreon for a whole year up front, then you end up getting a 13% discount across that entire year. That is 1% for every constellation in the zodiac. So you can save money and you can help us and put us in a more stable financial position at the same damn time. Doesn't that sound amazing? You can find that star chart, more about our Patreon, and other stuff that we have going on at our website, palebluepod.com. Or if you already know that you want to support us financially, please head on over to patreon.com/palebluepod. That is the most direct way to support us, but if you can't support us financially, that's totally fine. You are still space. The universe loves you, and so do we. Because there are other ways that you can support us and help us grow. You can rate and review us on your favorite podcast app. I love reading them. It makes me feel great every time I hear direct feedback from one of our listeners. But you can also share the show with your friends. A person-to-person recommendation of a podcast is a really effective way to help us grow, way more effective than just enjoying it by yourself with your own ears. So please help us grow by sharing it or reviewing it. You're awesome. I have a message for you. That message is a podcast recommendation. And that podcast is, of course, another show on the Multitude Collective. This one is Join the Party. Join the Party is an actual play podcast with tangible worlds, genre-pushing storytelling, and collaborators who make each other, and me, laugh every week. The Dungeon Master is Eric Silver, and he is joined by emphatic players Amanda, Brandon, and Julia, and together they welcome everyone to the table, from longtime TTRPG players to folks who have never touched a role-playing game before and didn't even know that that's what RPG stood for. You can hop into their current campaign, which is an awesome pirate story set in the world of plant and bug folk that Eric built himself. It's beautiful. You can also marathon their completed stories. They have a camp Pain. It's punny. It's amazing. It's a Monster of the Week game set in a weird summer camp. Their second campaign is for people who love superheroes. It's a modern superhero game. And their very first campaign is for people who appreciate the classics, people who want a high fantasy story. So those are all the campaigns they have, all the adventures that they've gone on. But once a month, they also release the After Party, where they answer your questions about the show and how the game is played, which is why they can authentically, genuinely say that it is a show for everyone. So what are you waiting for? Pull up a chair and join the party. Search for Join the Party in your podcast app or go to jointhepartypod.com. You'll have a bunch of fun. Next, another message from our sponsor, Ravensburger Puzzles. You can, in this cozy season, indulge in the timeless pleasure of assembling Ravensburger's extraordinary jigsaw puzzles. Ravensburger's premium quality puzzles are crafted with meticulous attention to detail, bringing you an unparalleled puzzle-solving experience. With a rich heritage dating back to 1883, that's like 140 years of puzzle making. That's incredible. Ravensburger puzzles have become an integral part of families' lives across generations. You can share the joy of puzzling with family and friends, with your pets who are especially good at not knocking things off the table, or by yourself in this cozy season that's great for reflection and one-person hobbies. They have so many different size options, so many different themes, so many different images. So no matter what you're looking for, if you want space, if you want a natural landscape, they've got you covered. If you want a quick puzzle experience with just 50 pieces, they've got you. But if you want to challenge yourself, if you want to go all the way up to the biggest puzzle you've ever considered, they have 40,000 pieces. Are you up to the challenge? I don't think I am, but I hope that someone is. If that's you, or if you want one of their smaller pieces, you can shop for Ravensburger's puzzles on Amazon.com today, or you can go to ravensburger.us. They make great puzzles, and you will have a good time.
Climate change is going to require collective action. But how can individual actions make a difference? On a new episode of Life Kit, we're walking you through what sort of climate-friendly choices can make an impact in your life and the lives of others. Listen to Life Kit, part of NPR's Climate Week, wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, and now Corinne is coming back. She looks so at peace, which is what hugging a cow will do to a person. After this episode, I'm definitely going to go hug my own cow. But for now, let's talk about those alien hearings. So that's like what's happened in UFO sightings or UAP sightings up until this year. Just a few months ago, on July 26th of 2023, the United States Congress had a hearing on unidentified aerial or anomalous phenomena. It was 2 hours and 18 minutes long. It was held by the House Oversight Committee or Intelligence Committee. Friends, I know a lot about how the universe works. I do not know how the United States government works, really. I did not take a civics class.
Well, yeah, I did, and I couldn't tell you.
Okay, yeah. Though they were in a very official looking place. There were lots of cameras. There was someone with a gavel. There were speakers with microphones.
Somehow 2 hours feels short for this.
This was not the only hearing.
Okay, good.
There were, I think there was a hearing either this May or last May. Like they've had a couple, but it felt long when I was watching it.
I'm sure it did. Oh my God.
Because it was the people, the Congress people on the subcommittee, and they were interviewing or like questioning 3 witnesses. One was David Fravor. He was a commander and pilot in the U.S. Navy. He was there to talk about his personal experience seeing UAP. He was one of the witnesses of the Tic Tac incident, which some people call the most credible UAP sighting in history. There is video footage. There's like recordings that they have from their plane sensors, but some of them I think got scrambled. And then he has his eyewitness thing. Yeah. Some of these things, some of these UAPs that people are citing, that these pilots have seen, they're saying that they can scramble their signals. So like,
I don't like it.
Okay. I don't like it either. So that's David Fravor. Then there was Ryan Graves. He is in charge of like safety and security for potentially the Air Force. I don't know. I think he is also a pilot, and he was there because he really wants there to be solid and secure reporting channels for pilots, both commercial and military, and like regular people who see UAPs. And then there was David Grush, and he was like maybe the most important witness there because he was the whistleblower who came forward over the summer and prompted, I think, this hearing in the first place. He was an Air Force intelligence officer, and he had been given clearance to look at what the government had done with UAPs before. So like all of those Pentagon programs that they love to start. He was the intelligence officer, or one intelligence officer, who was given access to those materials. And he said that he had been exposed to classified information about deeply covert programs that he says possess retrieved, intact, and partially intact craft of, quote, non-human origin. So all of those social media posts that are like, they said that there were aliens, there were non-human biologics. He's the one coming forward saying, like, there are non-human biologics. And he's saying this based off of mostly interviews that he has done with people who examined those UAP sightings, or the reports of those sightings. He has not seen much stuff himself. He is basing this on interviews that he has done over the years with people who supposedly have seen it. That's who's testifying. I took some notes while I was watching it. I'll go through them, but any reactions, questions, comments so far on this hearing?
I mean, I'm so inclined to especially believe someone with, like, a title. So this is, for better or worse, I'm, like, primed to be like, well, if he said it and he's in this position of power, then it's true.
But I think the important thing is that this guy, David Grush, there are more Davids on this panel than there are women or people of color.
Of course.
Of course. You can also say that about astronomy. There are so many fucking Davids.
Maybe in this scenario I like it, because I'm like, you don't see women getting up there being like, yeah, I saw an alien.
Which also makes me wonder. Right?
Yeah.
It's important to remember that he did not see most of this stuff himself. So, like, his testimony is like, I talked to someone who saw this stuff. Like, that's most of it.
Yeah, and in a dinner party setting, I love that kind of conversation. I want people to sit down and be like, this is what I heard through the grapevine.
Yes, but in a United States congressional hearing, no, not necessarily.
A little different.
Yeah, but here's essentially what they said throughout the hearing. Ryan Graves was especially passionate about getting this reporting pipeline going. He thinks that only about 5% of UAP sightings are actually reported by pilots. He really does think that because of stigma, because people fear that they won't be taken seriously or that they'll lose their jobs if they report this stuff, they are not being reported. And Ryan Graves' whole thing is he's like, we can't study this stuff if we don't have data to study. So you have to let people feel safe reporting this information so that we can look into it. He's coming at it from like a national security point of view. Throughout the whole thing, he didn't seem like he is super committed to the idea of there actually being aliens. He's like, I don't know what this is, but we need to study it, so we need to get more reporting. Then there's David Fravor, who was talking about his Tic Tac encounter, and he was talking about some of the technical capabilities of the UAPs that have been seen, and he was very adamant that they seem to demonstrate a type of technology that we currently don't have in the U.S. He was pretty sure that other nations in the world don't have that type of technology, and he said he doesn't think that humans are capable of technology of this sort for the next 20 years. So, so this pilot guy is being like, that was super advanced tech. I've never seen anything like it, and I don't think it's of this earth. So the things that he actually, this was corroborated across all three of them, but gone apparently are the days of the flying saucer. A lot of them these days are shaped like the Tic Tac, or like a little pill. That's what David Fravor saw. Ryan Graves was saying that a lot of pilots he knows are reporting seeing a black cube where the corners of the cube are touching a clear sphere. So there's like spheres now. Some people are saying that they just see a cube. Ryan Graves talked about a giant red cube that was on one side as long as a football field, that just like came down from the sky, hovered for a little bit, and then left. So those are the shapes. They're saying that these things can reach supersonic speeds in no time at all. They're saying that they can change direction without trying to. Like, they can change direction instantaneously. That's what I'm trying to say.
I have seen like some chatter that like it defies like what we describe as aerodynamic, or like what we think the rules are for like a flying ship, where they kind of have wings and like a nose and etc. These don't.
Yeah, they're saying no wings. They can hover in place even under like hurricane force winds,
like a hummingbird.
Like a hummingbird, which is the only bird that can do that. So we know that even in nature, it's pretty spectacular. So that's the type of stuff that they're seeing. That's what Ryan and David Fravor were talking about. Ryan, we're on a first name basis. Yeah. and then there's David Grush, who is coming in, I think, with the real kicker of a testimony. So he said, and I quote, "I was informed of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, but he was denied access to like the top level stuff, and he was denied access to the actual UAPs themselves." He was asked if he believes, point blank, he was asked by several people if he believes that the U.S. government is in possession of UAPs. He responded, quote, "Absolutely. That is based on interviews with 40 people." He says that he knows the exact location of these UAPs and that he has provided them to the Inspector General in previous interviews. He wouldn't give them publicly, but he says he's never seen them, but he knows exactly where they are. He was asked if he or people he knew had been harmed in an effort to cover up this UAP info. He said, absolutely. He knows people who have been injured. And when asked if people have been murdered to cover it up, he wouldn't answer. He wouldn't answer. He said, I cannot say that publicly.
Yeah, I'm going to need more about that.
Yeah. When asked along the same line of questioning if people have been injured by UAPs or human officials, David Grush said both. And so the person asking the question was like, oh, okay, so people are harming them to cover it up, but also like these UAPs are dangerous themselves. And they kept trying to get more details from David Grush, and he said something. The most straightforward answer he gave, which wasn't even really that straightforward, was when you're dealing with really advanced unknown technology, when you're dealing with unknown unknowns, like things happen. Someone was like, so are these like radiation effects? Like he just wouldn't say. He said he couldn't say publicly.
That's weird.
And he was saying that because he came forward as a whistleblower in order to maintain his protective whistleblower status, he can't say anything publicly that is still like confidential or still a part of that whistleblower investigation. So there was a lot he wouldn't say. Mm-hmm. He said that senior officials are doing what he calls, quote, administrative terrorism to keep the word of these programs from getting out. So they're threatening job security, they're firing people, things of that nature. He says that there are definitely advanced technology research programs that Congress doesn't know about. So he claimed definitively that there are pockets of the government that are keeping secrets from Congress and the public. He was asked about potential funding sources. He was asked, like, who should we talk to next? Where should we look next to, like, basically root out all of this secret rot? And he said he couldn't say publicly. Around this time, this guy named Burchett or something, he was, like, Southern, he said y'all, he casually mentioned that every year when they audit the Pentagon, they fail and they come up at least $1 billion short.
What?
Every year.
What?
Yeah. So that's something I know now. This same guy also very sweetly called out his wife. Apparently it was their anniversary on the day of the hearing. And so on the Senate floor, he was like, happy anniversary, honey. By the way, the Pentagon loses $1 billion every year.
Whoa, that's so weird. That is so much money. And
so much money.
And that's so funny to just be like, hi.
Yeah. So he didn't have straight answers, at least not publicly, about where this money is coming from or who actually is involved in this cover-up. He was asked a few times about the non-human nature of the things in these UAP programs. All he would say was non-human. He would not specify beyond that. And when asked why, he said he prefers to keep it broad. So by saying non-human instead of extraterrestrial, he can, I guess, cover all his bases. But I will remind listeners that 99.9% of living creatures on Earth are non-human. So
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, he seemed very sure that there is this cover-up happening within the government. He seems less sure that it is definitely aliens, but he left it open. Mostly they just want, like, a solid channel for reporting these sightings and studying them thereafter. They want there to be less stigma around talking about these sightings, and they want reasonable censorship. Like, they want dangerous information kept out of the public's hands, but they also want the public to stay informed, which is why they're trying to go after this, like, secret pocket of the government doing these UAP research programs. But that was the hearing. In 2 hours and 18 minutes, there was never one definitive declaration from anyone in the government saying, like, yes, there are aliens. It was all very, like, open, and the juicy information is not public. So, no, the government did not come out and say there are aliens.
That's so
But
funny.
I came out from watching that hearing being like, you know what, there might
you
be.
didn't say that there's nothing out there.
I used to think that if I had time and energy, I could go find all of the clips of me on the internet being like, there's no way we've found aliens. Astronomers are so bad at keeping secrets. I've said it 1,000 times, Corinne. I'm now thinking that maybe astronomers just aren't involved at all. And it's all just like engineers. And engineers are pretty secretive. I believe that they could keep it.
I do buy that.
Yeah. But that was not the latest congressional thing about aliens, Corinne, believe it or not. There was a little story about the Mexican Congress dealing with aliens.
Yes.
Did you see this?
This is what I was dying to know about, because all I saw was, like, the hilarious memes that came out from it, but not, like, what actually went down in that meeting.
I got so many texts about it immediately.
Of course.
It gave me a little laugh. So for the listeners who aren't aware of the story, on September 12th, a self-identified ufologist named Jaime Maussan, he brought these 2 little coffins into Mexican Congress, like literally wheeled 2 coffins onto the floor of the Mexican Congress. And he claimed that they were real, unmanipulated, fully intact, 1,000-year-old bodies that were completely unrelated to humans. He said they had been found in Peru in 2017 and that they were actual alien remains. And they looked like little mummies of E.T. They
really did.
They looked so humanoid, like a 3-foot-tall human. They had the big heads. They had nose bones. And I forget who I saw who pointed it out, but, like, humans don't have a bone there. They were just, like, very humanoid, but kind of in the way that on around Halloween, you see the skeletons of all the animals that, like, don't have skeletons. It was like that.
They looked like a paper mache. I had an assignment in elementary school to make a paper mache president. Like, I had to pick any president and make him. And I remember I did George Washington, and he had I gave him a way too big a head. It was such a weird shape. And this looks like paper mache. Like, the texture
really
of it even could be like glue and paper.
It really, really does look like that. And they had some, I think he was an astronomer there. And they, like, revealed X-ray scans of them. One of the bodies apparently was pregnant and had eggs in its belly, and just like, I should say, it has since been, like, widely regarded as a total publicity stunt. Ryan Graves, who was at the U.S. hearing, he went down to Mexico to show his support for people continuing to talk about this issue, and afterwards he was pissed. He was like, that was a slap in the face. He didn't actually say it was a slap in the face. He did say something like, this is a big step back for this movement. Like, that was such a stunt.
Of course. My conspiracy brain is like, well, wherever the $1 billion of the Pentagon went to, they're trying to fake like this to make it look less credible.
You're right.
No, that's not true. But
it was so wild to me that anyone was trying to credibly pass this off as real aliens, completely unrelated to humans. The idea that our body shape would be what aliens have, the idea that aliens would have a gestational pregnancy the way we do, the idea, like, just...
Yeah.
So I want to keep an open mind, friends, but, like, the doors gotta close to unwelcome people. And this Mexican alien stunt was unwelcome. The door shut right in its face.
Wow.
What a time to be alive. But yeah, look up the video. Actually, if you're a patron, it's in this episode's research notes. But if you're not, look up the video because it's hilarious. They seem so earnest while they're talking about these stupid little paper mache mummies. Because Corinne, that's totally what they look like.
Yeah, it was so funny.
So I'm sure that stories like this are going to continue to come out. There will be more headlines about these studies that are rightfully going to be done about UAP sightings. There will continue to be people who pull stunts like this. There will continue to be news lines about NASA definitely finding a planet that has alien life. Like you'll continue to see those stories. I want to help you, listeners, not fall into those traps. Like, so what do you do the next time you encounter a story like this? Corinne, what do you do typically when you see one of those headlines?
Well, I usually just decide that that's not true. It's just not a media, super media literate way to do it. But
I mean, it's better than the alternative default.
If you start by saying prove it instead of being I believe you, then you have to dig for the evidence yourself to make sure that you believe this. And I think also making sure that the people who are making claims have validity. I think that a lot of the COVID misinformation that was coming out when the vaccine first launched was being said by some people who can claim being doctors. And just because they have that credential doesn't mean that they haven't, maybe, in my opinion, lost the ability to make health claims. I think sometimes people who speak on something are maybe doing things for attention more than to share information and just kind of researching. Also, checking where you get your source. If this is picked up only in a niche blog that typically does alt news, maybe make sure that it's also coming out in a place that has fact checkers.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, I think starting from a place of prove it. I love that. Just deciding, prove it to me.
Yeah, I was going to say definitely start skeptical. So anytime you see a big headline like NASA finds proof of aliens, approach with skepticism.
Yes.
And then, like Corinne said, check the sources. Check the type of publication that you're reading that from. If you just hear a piece of information and it's not attached to a specific article, look for your own resources and make sure they're credible. Look for primary resources if possible. So instead of trusting news site analysis of the hearing on UAPs, I went and I watched the hearing myself, so that I'm getting the information right from the source instead of from 2 or 3 degrees of separation away. And then the third one, if you don't want to do your own research, that's totally fine. We all have really busy lives and we can't devote a bunch of time to everything. So you can follow reliable people and organizations. Yeah. So there are a few friends in my life who when these stories came out, they texted me, or the next time I saw them in person, they were like, yeah, I didn't even really bother thinking it was true because I figured if it were true, then you would be talking about it. So if you follow me on social, trust that if there is an actual credible public declaration of definitive proof of aliens, I will be amplifying that headline as loud as I possibly can. So follow people and organizations that you trust. If they're not saying anything, then it's probably not real. And if multiple people that you trust are saying the same thing, then it probably is real. So just use that type of critical thinking.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Any last thoughts or questions, Corinne, on UFO or UAP? which do you prefer to use?
I like UFO because it was just what we said when I was a kid. But I like UAP because it seems like UFO is the colloquial term, but the real experts use UAP.
You're in the know if you use UAP.
Yeah. But I no one's going to know what I'm talking about. No one's going to know what I'm talking about if I say UAP.
Yeah.
But people are less likely to believe me if I say UFO.
Good points. There are layers to this.
Yeah.
So I guess in conversation, you can just be like, UAPs or UFOs.
Yes, exactly. That's the move.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Well, everyone listening, I hope that whatever you see in the sky tonight, you remember that you are space.
Oh, yeah, you are. Pale Blue Pod was created by Moiya McTier and Corinne Caputo with help from the Multitude Productions team. Our theme music is by Evan Johnston, and our cover art is by Shay McMullen. Our audio editing is handled by the incomparable Misha Stanton.
Stay in touch with us and the universe by following @PaleBluePod on Twitter and Instagram, or check out our website, palebluepod.com. We're a member of Multitude, an independent podcast collective and production studio. If you like Pale Blue Pod, you will love the other shows that live on our website at multitude.productions.
If you want to support Pale Blue Pod financially, join our community over at patreon.com/palebluepod. For just about $1 per episode, you get a shout out on one of our shows and access to director's commentary for each episode. The very best way, though, to help Pale Blue Pod grow is to share it with your friends. So send this episode, this link, to one person who you think will like it, and we will appreciate you for forever.
Thanks for listening to Pale Blue Pod. You'll hear us again next week.
Bye.